Welcome to the fastest growing Star Wars podcast in the Republic from a certain point askew. Rumor has it, news from the podcast travels faster than a bantha fart in a Tatooine dust storm. I thought your laugh was going to be louder into the microphone. I am the Angry Ginger, broadcasting live from inside Wookiee Poo Studios. I'm not alone. Please allow me to introduce your favorite wretched scum, scoundrels, and smugglers this side of Tython. Our neighbor from Corellia.
We had a Lothal cat attack right there, no big deal. And Jason, how many times do I got to tell you I'm from Tatooine? Dank Ferret.
Oh, they used it. I can't believe we're not seeing memes that says what's her name from Mean Girls. Stop trying to make Dank Ferret. Is it Ferret?
I think it's Ferret.
Ferric.
Yeah.
Ferret.
Ferric? I thought it was Ferret, like a little feral.
No, I think it's Ferric.
I apologize. That third voice that you hear, who butted in without being introduced, would be known as Matt, a.k.a. Dark Mathias, who is fluent in over 182 languages, none of them important.
Correct.
Ichuta. I'm really excited to be here and talk about fetishes today.
Oh,
wow.
Did he
take him out back and plug him into the hyperdrive?
Episode title he's trying to work in there. You know what? Speaking of episode titles, I love that you made. I just sent you the file, just being a dipshit. I hope the Dark Saber. I hope you win the Dark Saber, whatever I kept saying. So I named it, and then he names the episode that. I was like, you didn't like go for like an Ashoka headline or anything. It was just.
I thought about that, but then as I was listening back to the episode, because that's usually how I pick the titles, just something random we're joking about, and I just thought, well, he keeps saying it throughout the episode. I should probably go ahead and make that the title. And
it's a bit of genius because it also promotes the Dark Saber
That's
giveaway.
true. I think it worked. We'll get to that in a few minutes. How do they reach us, speaking of wanting to get that Dark Saber?
They can find our website from a certain point askew.com. You can find us on Twitter at FACPApod, and you can email the show, which a lot of people are doing lately, and we really appreciate, FACPApod@gmail.com.
Oh, all right, let's run through this real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a show for you. It just keeps getting better. So we've got a question of the week we're going to get to. We got some news that we'll break down for you. And speaking of breakdowns, we got the breakdown of Chapter 14, which is episode 6 of Season 2, The Tragedy. We've got a whole bunch of balls in Maul's bag. And the Dark Saber giveaway we're going to discuss. You guys know it, a lot of you listeners, so we're throwing this at the tag on the end. So if you are listening to it this week, if you saw us promoting, you're like, ooh, how do I win that? Just stick around until after the breakdown, and we're going to tell you how to win the Dark Saber. And also, there's going to be a little bit of news about a potential new, why is that happening? Another giveaway we're going to have. And
yes.
As of right now, there is no factoid, but you never know what's going to happen by the end of the show.
You want to start with the question of the week?
Yeah, let's start with that.
All right, I'll read it.
Okay.
So if you could only pick one X-Wing wingman, would you go with Biggs, Porkins, Wexley, or Wedge, or anyone else that you might have thought of that I did not include on that list?
Shout out to last week's question of the week, where Biggs came in a close second on the mustache contest.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. We did discuss mustache. And there was a tweet this week that was actually, I think it was from Star Wars, like who had the best mustaches. Was it? Did you do that?
There was a tweet today that I made about who had the best mustache.
Now that I say it, I was like, wait, hold on a minute.
You can't tell us apart now. The Twitter feed.
You know, sometimes you wake up and you grab your phone and you start reading shit and looking at shit and none of it registers right away. Like it was just now. I was like, wait a minute. I think I was just waking up when I was looking at those.
And then 3 weeks later, you're like, oh shit, my mom's in quarantine. And I fucking didn't even know. She's in the hospital. Did I read that or was I dreaming? Yeah. I do that all the time. I do that shit all the time.
Or that's how you never texts go unanswered all the time. And I'll go in there later. I'm like, why have they not responded yet? I did that in my head.
I have legit sleep issues as it is, where I find myself drinking and eating in front of my refrigerator all the time. Yeah, but then I'll fucking read a message.
You should put a lock on that.
Forget. I do need to do it. I need to put a lock on it. I do I'll read a message at night and I forget totally all about it. And then the next morning I'm like, oh man. 3 days later I'll figure it out and shit. I really missed something important.
You do not need Ativan.
No, I don't need any sort of.
Because Ativan will give you what do they call that? Temporary memory loss. So you'll do shit and you'll have no idea you did it. So, you'll take an Ativan, go to the fridge, make yourself a fucking sandwich, start texting people. Yeah. Maybe you'll have a hookup that night. You won't know none of it happened.
All right, let's get back.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, let's get out. We're in the outer rim here. Let's get back to the main system.
I was going to see how far I can take it.
Let's get back to the main system. I actually will answer this question first because I'm the most important person on the show. Okay. The only X-Wing, the X-Wing pilot that I choose to be my wingman. Do you guys know who Senesca Zev is? Senesca Zev? He's the rebel pilot who found Han and Luke flying on Hoth.
Right.
Echo Base, this is Echo 7. I found them.
Crawled inside of... Yeah. Did you have to Google that? There's no way that name was...
I had to Google it. It's Zeneska Zev. He was a rebel pilot assigned to Echo Base on the frozen planet Hoth, flying a snow speeder as Rogue 2. He's the one who located Han and Luke. But I always loved his dialogue.
Okay.
I've got something. I don't know. I used to listen to it. My brother Zach would replay it over, like walk through the house.
You remember the weirdest lines of dialogue.
It is. It really is something weird.
Like...
But it brings, like, when I'm watching Empire Strikes Back and I hear that scene, I stop what I'm doing and I watch, and it just brings me back. Like, I don't know why.
Found him.
Yeah, nice of you guys to drop by.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Obviously, Dead or Alive does not play into this. This is just pick your guy, because of course your guy ends up dying in the going against the wall.
For the longest time, for the longest time, I thought that was Wedge. I thought he was Wedge Antilles. But then I've noticed he dies because apparently the rebel pilots like to take on the Imperial walkers head on. You know, there's a 360 thing. They're only shooting at them from the front. Let's go right through the line of fire instead of like, hey, let's come in from the side where there's no fire, no guns.
That is true. This is a shitty walking tank if you think about it.
Yeah.
Or could you just not turn that ion cannon so that it was more straight across and horizontal and just start picking them off? Because that thing blew everything away. Just saying.
True. Okay, so I got to have a pick here. You know what? Just because he's the long shot, you have the big guy on your side, you know? So I got my number 2.
You know, how did that actor feel when they cast him as Porkins? Like, you couldn't figure out a better name?
I'm going to go with the script just said fella in the seat.
He's filling in that fucking cockpit.
He was named. I bet you he was named after they put him in the seat.
There's not a whole lot of room.
This guy's a porker. We can't fit him in here.
Have you seen The Nutty Professor where he transforms inside the Porsche? It's like, that's what you got there. You got to cut him out with the jaws of life.
Well, and you've seen the doctored gif of him. Like he's got like a soda and a hamburger in his hand. Oh, poor guy. It's funny you say Jack Porkins, because that's my pick.
Really?
Because you know what? Till the end, he was trying to hold it, but he just couldn't, and he never gave up. Unlike that quitter Wedge.
Yeah, Wedge bailed quick. He wasn't doing anything back there.
No. He got let off. Scott-free.
Gave him a little. Sorry. Just takes off.
Out of here.
He's like the most polite. Yeah. He's got to be Canadian because he's so super polite. Sorry. He just banks off to the right. Focus on the leader.
And then you know he just hung out like off in the distance watching the rest of the fight. And then when they blew it up, he's like, all right, let's go back, guys.
Yeah. He's like in the Super Bowl. He's like that player that just got traded to the Super Bowl winning team a week before, sets the bench, gets the ring. You know, he's there to celebrate. Didn't do anything for it.
Yeah, why wouldn't he circle back and get behind Vader? That's what I'm talking. Like, okay, peel off. Now come back and start laying in fire, you know? Like,
yeah,
he literally couldn't do anything.
His blasters were out?
See, there's your answer.
Funny. Speaking of which, I'm watching Rebels, and I'm on the episode where he gets sprung from the academy. So episode
That's right.
5, season 3.
Wedge does?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Wedge and Hobby. Is it Hobby? Hobbs, maybe?
I can't remember the other,
I like how he pops up every once in a while.
I'm learning all sorts of fun shit on that series. It's actually really good. It's getting a lot better.
Yeah.
It's getting super like dark, and people are starting to kill other people.
And now let's get into the minutia of things.
Yeah.
Like this episode that we're about to discuss.
That's a $5 word.
You're welcome. Thank you.
5 credits.
All right.
But you got to pay half only in flan, whatever.
Flan.
Calamari flan.
Let's get into the news.
Let's.
So we lost somebody.
We lost a big somebody.
Yeah, a real big somebody, like 6'7".
Yep. David Prowse, the man who played Vader and was shocked to be treated the way he was just after he played Vader, has passed away. What was he, 85?
Something like that. So he had a good run.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple things. One is, I don't know how many years ago this was now, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. I had my kids dressed up for Halloween, and my little guy was Darth, and my older guy was a Stormtrooper. So he was bigger. And I posted it on Twitter and said something about, aren't you a little small to be Darth Vader? I didn't tag the guy or anything, But he grabbed that and retweeted it out.
Oh, really?
And it got all these likes and stuff. It was really funny. Yeah, I think he really grabbed hold of that. Like, anybody's going to reference Vader, I'm going to jump in on it because he jumped in on that, and it was pretty funny. Because all of a sudden I'm like, why am I getting all these likes from this post? Yeah, there's kids in it. I get it. It's kind of the easy way to get a bunch of likes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't a cat, but it was close. I saw your cat post, by the way. But no, it was I just thought it was funny that he did that. And then the other thing is just what we talked about, I think on Twitter a little bit, is that the pre James Earl Jones dub and just how crazy it sounds.
As much like I've read like behind the scenes books, all this stuff. I've seen videos, I've seen clips. I've never seen that clip that I posted the other day in our chat room of him shouting out the dialogue before James Earl Jones dubbed over it, and just how it almost like, how you hear about when Lucas first started doing it, like he went back to like the serials of the 30s and stuff, Flash Gordon, all of those. You really got like that feel. It just looked super cheesy with the way he was shouting everything out. And the difference with music and a really good voiceover is fucking astonishing.
Yeah, music is the big one. Because that's whenever you see old footage of Star Wars and there's no music, it is like, what is going on? It looks so rough.
Yep.
Yeah, they do that to a lot of films. They'll pull the score off and then like you just play and like just the guys acting. It's nothing.
Yeah, there's something about it. It's amazing. Those the edit, the music, and James Earl Jones apparently for David Prowse. But I mean, he was the guy in the costume, the big mammoth MFer. There was, and to say he was mistreated, there was a documentary that came out a few years back called I Am Your Father, and they go into it and they discuss all of that. One of the things he was upset by was when they took the helmet off, he didn't get to be the face of Vader. They hired another actor to put makeup all over and make ugly and make him the Anakin without the Darth Vader helmet on. So they went back and reshot all the scenes, like basically illegally. They never got the rights or anything, but they put it in their documentary, and David Prowse got to like relive that moment or live that moment for the first time, and now he's passed away. It's a really good documentary though, but you really feel bad for the fella. Why are you shaking your head like that?
Yeah, so what a fucking ego on the guy. Like, come on. Like, what does it matter to you? Like, you want to be the person under the mask?
Well, I think he played the character, and he wanted to be recognized for that, and Lucasfilm or George himself was like his voice was taken away, his face was taken away, like everyone else except for apparently his statue was all Lucas wanted him for. But that's not what he was hired for, I guess.
Do your fucking job. How about that? How's that sound?
So you don't feel bad for him?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Well, think about like Peter Mayhew. Because I guess what happened is I read something where it said how originally David Prowse, because he had done something that Lucas had seen or something like that, and so he said, "Hey, I'd like you to try out for a role in this movie I'm making," and he mentioned Chewbacca at first.
Okay.
But then he's like, he made it sound like he almost had his choice of the two characters, which I don't know how true that is.
Okay.
But he's like, but I, of course, I wanted to go with being the big bad villain, so I went with that. And then of course Peter Mayhew, who's even taller.
Right.
They bring him in to be Chewbacca. And I don't know if you've ever heard the clips of him talking. It is so fucking funny because it's like Han yelling at him when he's supposed to be like fixing the Millennium Falcon. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And you just hear Peter Mayhew go, "What? I don't know." He just like stumbling and saying like random comments. And it sounds so weird coming out of huge Chewie. I'll find the clip and forward it to you. It's so bizarre.
Jay, you probably were given the same opportunities, right? Because you're 6'7", basically. You told us before the show.
Pre-show.
I'm not 5'9", motherfucker.
He's very tall.
I did not say
all
that
you listeners, he's super tall. Jay is a tall, lanky drink of water.
Thank you. I appreciate you noticing.
I don't recall how tall you were, but because we did meet 5 years ago. But
it was 5 years ago.
I'll take your word for it.
I mean, come on. I've aged. I've shrunk a little bit. I gave you that. I gave you an inch.
Jay's so tall.
5'9".
Jay's so tall that when he backflips, he kicks Jesus in the mouth.
Okay,
moving on. More news. I lost my spreadsheet, so someone fill in for me.
Oh, so the Vanity Fair story that came out on it was kind of a Q&A with Rosario Dawson and Dave Filoni, and they were talking all about Ahsoka.
There you go.
And it went through a lot of stuff. There was some really interesting tidbits in there. One was basically that the fan casting of Rosario Dawson is what got Filoni's attention in the first place, which is hilarious because you see that all the time now, especially, but you see it all over Twitter when people are like, well, it's like people saying, Sebastian Stan for Luke or whatever. All those things start picking up steam, and then people, I think it becomes ingrained in your head, like, well, that's got to be the person they're going to do. But to see it actually hit the filmmaker and go, yeah, you know what? That makes sense was pretty interesting.
Yeah, because he, when they were talking about bringing the character in before even season 1 came out, he went to Favreau, right? And wasn't Favreau like, well, who are you thinking?
Right.
And he said Rosario, and Favreau was like, hey, I know her. I think we can make this happen. I love how people, and even when Rosario Dawson talks in the interview about how like everything comes full circle, and it's kind of like, I think on purpose she was trying to like fit the Star Wars theme of things, you know, but the fact that she was in acting school with Hayden Christensen,
yeah,
and knew
that's
him
so funny.
before he became took the role as Vader. They were in a film together, and
yeah, there was a picture of the two of them, and people were like, it looks like Anakin and Ahsoka standing next to each other. It's kind of funny.
That's pretty cool.
Then she talked about how they had like this FaceTime call with Filoni just before the season dropped, and kind of basically said that they had all these plot plans for season 2 with her. And Filoni had this interesting quote. He said, I've always made comparisons to her heading toward the Gandalf stage. That's how he's describing her nowadays. Right. And if something you'll see later in Rebels, Cole, there is a point where you see her and she looks like the White Wizard. So kind of funny.
Channeling the Force or something?
Complete with staff and everything.
It's just the way she looks. She's got this robe on and stuff. She kind of looks like Gandalf. It's kind of a weird comparison. But and then the other one was they said they were talking about the campfire scene with her and Mando, and where she's kind of laying out all that stuff and, you know, talking about the history behind the backstory, essentially behind Grogu.
Yeah.
And it was referenced that it was meant to be a kind of a parallel to the Luke and Obi-Wan scene in A New Hope, which I think one of you two called out when we saw that.
Yeah. I think
so that was.
I know it was said. I don't know who said it, but yeah, that sounds right.
Yep. And so I'm trying to think if there's anything else. That was kind of the big stuff, but it just was interesting to hear how that kind of came to be and the relationship that she and Favreau and Filoni have. So it's a good article if you want to read it.
I like how she talks about when they first call her and they're basically offering her the role and everything. Yeah, she's like freaking out. Like the FaceTime for whatever reason, like it wasn't working, so there was
video
just audio,
shut off. Yeah.
And it was allowing her to be like, "Holy shit, I can't believe this is happening." You know, like audio wise, she's like, "Yeah, no, this really sounds interesting." You know, have your people call my people. You know, they'll do lunch. We'll figure this out. But he mentioned Filoni said something about how this story. He said it's possible that the story of the Mandalorian takes place before the epilogue of Rebels, before that last scene that we see. Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just him trying to throw us off the scent, or if he, or just trying to open up options, or what. But I thought that was interesting.
I did too, but it felt like, well, you don't know what I'm thinking. You're not as smart as me. Like, don't try to.
Could be.
Yeah. Also, reports of filming started for the Kenobi show. What are they at Boston? They released like 5 or 6 different places they're going to be shooting. And what is it? A 5-month shoot?
I think that's what it was. And it's interesting because Ewan McGregor has mentioned that he was going to start in March. So people are like, so did the timeline change, or is all this stuff being like, showing other?
Yeah. I don't know. I will have to find. I know that I think they said. Wasn't it? Or are they shooting that in? Oh no, Marvel's Atlanta. I can't remember what, but I know I saw something recently where it said, basically, he's in the area where they're going to be shooting. He's there now. So that's why they were speculating that it was going to start up soon, and then now they've announced that it has started shooting. And I guess to get into more shooting, was it Diego Luna was on Kimmel the other night, and he was like, prying him. So what are you doing? Oh, just hanging out with some friends.
Yeah, basically admitting to what's going on. But he did say when he was talking to Kimmel about it, he said, because they're like, well, we know what's going to happen in the end of the story. And he was saying, what's nice is what's going to happen in the end. So this is an opportunity to kind of cover all the, the stuff the events that lead up to that, all the nuances. And he's like, and really delay that ending. He's like, so many stories you watch, it's all about getting to the end. He's like, this is actually more about delaying till the end and getting all this context for who his character is. And he said it really sets up Rogue One with what they're doing.
Yeah, he said it's basically everything you have to know to understand Rogue One and what happened in the events there. So the story of the character before, and everyone knows the ending already, how everything's going to happen. But yeah, so it's.
I've been trying to rack my brain about, they've got the Lucasfilm story group, and another piece of information that we don't have on here was after they showed Ahsoka and the big deal with where is Grand Admiral Thrawn, Timothy Zahn had posted something about Timothy Zahn is the author of the 3 books. He's the creator of Thrawn, and he posted that he didn't know they were using the character, had no idea about it, but he said something nice about they've got some really good directors and producers and stuff on this stuff right now. It'll be interesting what they do, and maybe that's just him being playing nice because he's still working for Lucasfilm writing the books.
I didn't see that.
Complete brain fart as to where I was leaving off with that. Maybe that was just it.
Yeah, I mean, I've said before, I mean, I'm sure when Kenobi series comes out, I'm going to be all jacked up to watch it. But for me, the Cassian series is the one I'm kind of a little bit more excited about. I think that they can do a lot with that character and kind of how he grew up and became who he became. So I'm super pumped for that.
I think you were saying about Timothy Zahn was that he didn't know anything about the series or that they were going to use Thrawn or anything, but he thought that Filoni and Favreau, he had put complete trust in them and that they were doing a good job. Right?
I think he does, but to go back, I think to tie them together was in Rogue One, when they get to they're on the planet, escapes me, but they're going through the drives and they find out that the Empire can actually do track during hyperspace and all this, and that was kind of an Easter egg they used later on. I've been trying to rack my brain about how some of this stuff is going to tie together. Like if they've got the Lucasfilm story group, it's like, what is Cassian doing? What's the small story or the Easter egg that will, instead of like the plans to the Death Star, like what is that one little nugget that's going to carry over to either the Boba Fett series or maybe Solo, or you know what I mean? Like they're doing a really good job with just this series alone of like answering questions that we've been wanting for years. And creating new little kernels of things that they can spread from. Now I'm trying to see like if are they that organized or that together where like these stories will all like Marvel. We discussed that before, right? Like each of these movies are their own standalone things, but there's like the little things that allude to the Infinity Stones, right? And then as the story progresses, there's the Infinity Gauntlet and there's the Endgame, all this stuff. Like I wonder if they're doing some of that,
tying the universe together, right? I get what you're saying. I'm interested to see if they'll tackle that or how they will tackle that, or if they will. You know, it could be just different timelines or standing alone series, but it'd be cool. Like maybe have
I think
certain
like
character cameos and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Right? That's always interesting to watch. Everyone's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm sure they give a lot of flexibility to those stories to those showrunners and creators, but like you said, there's going to be some things that are carrying through all these series. So I'm sure they're organized at least to that standpoint. Just looking at how organized this particular show is, we're going to discuss later, and how there's things that are brought up in season 1, episode 2 that show up in season 2 episode. You know what I mean? Like it's all planned. Like none of this is by accident.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if Favreau's ever come out and said, because like when they create a show, they always have what's called the show Bible. So like a creator will go to somebody when they're looking to get it produced, and they usually have like the pilot kind of figured out, and then they'll have what the Bible is, and it's like the story of the first season, and then loosely of like where all these kernels of things are going to go for 5 or 7 seasons. You know, so they kind of have a broad idea of like, we start here, we're going to end here, and a lot of times that stuff changes throughout as the episodes get made, people catch on to certain characters or different things happen or whatever. But I don't know if Favreau's ever come out and said, I have an idea for 5 seasons.
Right.
So,
yeah. I don't know how deep they go. Yep.
But as long as this show keeps bringing people in, I have a feeling it's going to go long. If it only goes 5 seasons, it's kind of heartbreaking because that only gives us a few years together. Although I think we'll be discussing more Star Wars.
I think we have.
Material.
Yeah. Not to mention,
careful with that laugh. Well, I think.
Whoa!
We're 15 episodes in, and you're worried about, are we going to get to 200 of our show?
Yeah.
Also, one last bit I wanted to note is just that they announced that they're going to do 2021 is the 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm, which is pretty crazy. And so they're going to be doing stuff all year long. It starts in January. They haven't gotten specific about what it means. They said there's going to be some new product releases that are going to kind of happen throughout the year. So there's things that we'll probably see come out in January that are going to start, tugging at our wallets, I assume. And maybe more Kenner toys. So that, because in my youth, my dad got rid of all of our Kenner toys. Thanks, Dad.
Oh, well, this is another thing. He finally did it. After 15 episodes, he brought his dad into the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said something, and that was I was going to say. Okay, so the Lucasfilm, you got to remember, like that's not just Star Wars. Right. They'll be celebrating Indiana Jones, THX, Skywalker Sound. Anything he's done. Those are some of the big ones, but. For sure, they'll get their money's worth out of marketing 50 years of Lucasfilm. And good, like, celebrate him. And there's a museum that they're working on right now for him as well. Is that supposed to open up next year?
I don't know the timing on that, but he talked about that in an interview I saw recently. I don't know that the interview was recent, but I read it recently. But where he was talking about why he gave up Star Wars and how the reason he sold it was because he felt like he was getting on in age. He had a young daughter, and he was worried about, like, he was focused on getting that museum built and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what the timeline is, though. Is it in LA? Is that where it is?
I believe so, because I know there was a couple of cities fighting for it, but it ended up in LA, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you guys want to get into it? You guys want to geek out about this episode?
Fuck yeah.
Heck yeah.
It's difficult to not freak out when the first thing you see is, well, after the cold open, which was short and we'll get to, when it says chapter 14? The tragedy. And you're like, oh no.
Yeah, right away, you know, shit's going to happen with little Grogu.
Totally.
But, like, how is that going to happen? Okay, so before we get, like, into this and we'll break it down, I have to tell you, like, we left last week we didn't know where we were, right? We're like, we're in the dark. Where's this going to take us? Mm-hmm. They took us there right away. Like,
yes.
He's like, well, we're not going to waste 3 episodes to get Tython. We're going to drop you there right now, and boom. Like, all these things we were hoping for and guessing for and whatever, it all just happens in 30 damn minutes. It is the most, like, I didn't think they'd do better than the Ahsoka episode last week. Like, I just felt like they couldn't. For one, bringing in, like, such a character we've been, like, dying to see for... It was almost like you like that? It was like a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
You know, like, we did not expect this at all. And then this episode opens up, and boom, it does not stop. And Robert Rodriguez...
Yeah.
Fucking nailed it. Holy.
Yes, indeed.
Like, the directors this season... are killing it. Like, to get to come in, to be like these big directors that come in and play in the sandbox, dream come true for every one of them. You know it is, but the fact that, like, all of them are like, oh, he did such a good job.
Yeah, there's 2 things I want to mention before we get into it. One is, for those, you know, who were all upset about the way Boba essentially went out in that goofy manner, like he's supposed to be this, you know, he's supposed to be the best and this ruthless guy, and he's so revered by everyone, but he went out like in this stupid, almost slapsticky way. So is he overrated? You know, people always talk about, is he overrated? After watching this episode, I would say no, he is not overrated because he was freaking badass the whole time, and it was fun to watch him do that.
That was one of the discussions we had earlier in the season, was the whole idea about, I don't know if it was when we were talking about whether he was going to have his own spin-off show or when we saw him on the sands of Tatooine, on the dunes of Tatooine, and we got in the whole discussion of him being like the most like feared bounty hunter in the galaxy and all this. We've never seen all this. Like, how are they going to portray that, right? Like, how are we going to see even just the man without his Boba Fett armor? Like, is he, you know, he's older, like all of this, like, how's that going to work out? And you're right. Like, it was from the like, and I love the fact that they showed you how ruthless he was before he had the armor.
Right.
And then you see how fucking badass. Yes. Yeah. Like, they could have not done it better.
Yes. And the other thing I was going to say, and this is just a little gripe, because I always have to have a little gripe.
Mm-hmm.
There was something about the action and where it was taking place that was like, I couldn't put my finger on it. You're going to get mad at me.
Nope.
I couldn't put my finger on it. I was trying to figure out what was going on, and I saw somebody say, did that feel like Power Rangers? And
it's exactly what it...
Yes, and that was the thing, that I couldn't put my finger on it. When somebody said it, I was like, exactly. And I know I loved this episode, don't get me wrong, but there were just part of it, and I think somebody mentioned that it might have to do with the lighting. Like, you never see stuff like
taking
the
words out of my goddamn mouth. You're right. It was all daylight. It was, and I'm watching it. I was getting so, like, I'm like, why the fuck is this so cheesy? Like, when she's running across the rocks and it's like pew 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 and the lasers are getting her.
Yes.
I'm like, this is a fucking Power Rangers. I was getting mad, and then it hit me. I was like, well, maybe it's the fucking lighting. Like, my TV's. So I checked the mode. And the mode was like it was set on standard whatever. Mm-hmm. So I clicked it over to movie, and it fucking changed everything.
Oh, really? Interesting.
So the second time I watched it, it did not bother me as much. But damn it, you are so right. Like, the fact that it's like, it was like, when they used to shoot the old Star Trek series, and they just go out to wherever they go out to shoot in the rocks, you know,
right?
And it had that feeling, like, or the Power Rangers were like, there were these lasers and the big explosive blasts or whatever, and like she does this somersault roll and gets back up, and it was not really the greatest tuck and roll, and I'm just like, but yeah, a lot of it had to do with the lighting, because when I switched it, I and there was even the scene when Moff Gideon was on the bridge looking out the window, and he turns around, and he just starts walking, and I'm like, come on. Like, and it was the music was very small. It was not loud, so there was like no menacing beat or anything like that. And I'm watching this, and it was like, what is going on? So I had some issues too, but after I changed the lighting and I watched it again, I was a bit more forgiving. But that first time, man, I was like, yeah, no more daylight shit.
Yeah, somebody likened it to like a really good fan made Star Wars scene or something like that.
I didn't get any of that.
No?
I thought it was, I don't know, maybe I have to go back and watch it again. I've watched it twice, but I didn't have any complaints with anything. Only complaint I really had is when Boba Fett put the armor on and then he still had like his dress on underneath it. It's like Boba Fett flying around with a dress on. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. I mean, that's a little weird. But no, I thought like...
But like if he had pants on all of a sudden, everyone would have been like, oh, so he had time to change fully before...
Well, he could have just dropped the monk shawl that he was wearing and have his like, he had some, thermal tights on underneath.
He had the pants on already.
Or just bare legs and they're real skinny. It just looks pathetic. Skipping leg day.
Skipping leg day. So should we break down the episode?
How it complaints aside, let's go to the cold open.
Yeah, so it starts off with Grogu and Mando in the Razor Crest, and they're flying towards what is it? Tython.
Yeah, the father and son are playing catch.
Yeah, father and son are playing catch. Grogu, give me the ball. Give it here. Yeah. And he's like, no. Like he holds it away from him, and it's like, finally. So and then we get the dank ferric, right? Yep. Out of Mando, which is like, I don't know, it's like Carabast, right? For the rebels when they say that, it's like the swear word in the universe.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
So he's like, I was like, I had to rewind it. I'm like, what did he say? And I had subtitles on. It was dank ferric. And I think the subtitles picked it up as ferret. So I was like, dank ferret. Like, okay. Is that like a weed?
Yeah, because they've said that's like the third or fourth time they've used it in this season.
Yeah, Bo-Katan used it. Yep. And I know Mando's used it before, so yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't catch on to that.
I think it was used in the second episode, maybe like during the chase or when they crash landed on the ice or something. I remember it was really early on the first time we heard it, because we've had kind of a discussion about it, I think, then too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's definitely like the fuck me of the Star Wars universe.
So they're circling. They come down to the planet. He's circling for a place to land the Razor Crest, and he's like, we're going to have to take a little windows down travel, right? Is that what he says? Like the
rest of the trip we're going to have to do with the windows down.
And it super cuts to him and like little Baby Yoda like flying with his jetpack, and it's like that was pretty cute.
I like him when he was in the chair just before they land. Like they show the shot where like as it leans so he can see out of that tiny window, and he's like, ooh. Like anything they could do to make Grogu, I want to say Baby Yoda, as adorable as possible.
Yeah, he's doing that. He's doing that in the beginning too. He's like, Grogu, and he turns. Huh? Yeah, he looks up at him. He's like, "It's so freaking adorable." The whole time, I don't know. I'm in love with him.
The little guy melts your heart.
Atop the mountain. Did anybody get like a Lord of the Rings vibe to that? Where in the first one, where they're all camping out on top of that rock, and the
was it Stonehenge?
The Nazgul or whatever they're called come because the dumbasses lights a campfire. That's how it kind of felt to me, especially in the way we'll get to at the very end when those dark troopers are like approaching from each side toward the middle. That's just that. It looks just like Lord of the Rings thing. That's what stood out to me.
Yeah, Weathertop or something. What's the name of that? There's some sort of like. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. For some reason, I can't get internet in here for Wookie Poo Studios.
You've been locked out of the Wi-Fi.
I'm gonna have to check my chain code.
Maybe that's what it is. You got to pay your monthly fee, and then we'll let you back in.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah. What I have to do?
We don't have to do it on mic though.
Okay,
so they drop in windows on, so the jetpack in, sets him down, and I love like how he's just so out of the know, like he has no idea how this thing works, so he just like sets him on there. Is it working?
Did you see the blue butterflies?
Yep.
So have you heard all these people making notes about this, the blue butterfly, and how some people say like, oh, it's like this mythical, representation of reincarnation or rebirth. And other people are saying, well, there were blue butterflies on Endor. So it's like, is this some sort of like Luke reference? So it's one of those silly things where you're like, oh, it's probably just nothing. Nothing's nothing on this show. There's always a reason for some sort of placement and everything,
I got a big time Rey vibe from this, and I almost went back and watched the scene in The Last Jedi. Wasn't there something when she was on the rock the first time? Wasn't there something that like a butterfly or something that kind of flew by there, and then like when he touches the rock next to him, that she does that, and that's when all of a sudden she starts using, like, all of a sudden the rocks start rumbling and everything, and Luke's face is like, what the fuck is going on? So, but when I was reading something, sorry, let me just finish this thought, where they were talking about that whole scene, and they mentioned the butterflies, and it said in parentheses, is anybody getting a Kylo Ren feeling here? And I was like, blue butterflies and Kylo Ren? That didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, there's an animated thing. I barely know anything about this, so I'm going to represent it poorly. But there's some animated thing where, like, when he's young and he's with, Han, he's with Han and Chewie or something, and they're off, like, on some mission going to find something, and he becomes enamored with these blue butterflies. But I mean, I can't imagine this is actually a reference to Ben. But you never know.
Yeah. What were you going to say, bud?
I was going to say, you talked Lord of the Rings earlier, where they were on Weathertop or whatever, that area where Frodo basically gets stabbed by the Nazgul or whatever. Right. In Lord of the Rings, whenever the eagles were coming, the little butterflies would fly through. Right. And that would alert Gandalf or whoever that the eagles were on their way.
Right. Interesting. It happens when he's on top of the tower when he's battling Christopher Lee, who went on to become Count Dooku.
Oh yeah, when he's
on top.
Battling Saruman.
Yeah, he's on top, and a butterfly goes by, and then he jumps off, and that eagle is there. Just perfect timing.
And the butterflies come through when Sam and Frodo are on the rock in the middle of the lava storm after they throw the ring into the pit.
Yeah,
one of the first of the 27 endings of that series.
Yes, that movie goes on for a long time. But yes, you're right. Sure so maybe it is some sort of sign of some sort of presence. I don't know.
Yeah. So like this is where shit starts kicking in, and I love the way this whole scene is shot because like he kind of scans the rock. There's nothing working. He turns away as Grogu kind of touches the rock, and then we hear some rumbling in the skies. And why is there another fucking ship breaking atmo? So like he sees the Slave One, and like right away I was like, yeah. And I had told you we just had a discussion about rumors of the Slave One possibly being used somewhere in this second season, and it's like boom right there. And I'm like, so hold on, this fucker's been hanging out on Tatooine for 5 years at least, right? Running around trying to find his armor, but he's already got Slave One, and he's hunting him down. Well, so there's some backstory I think we're going to have to get on Boba Fett that we can do some speculating at the end. But go ahead.
Well, so a couple things. One is I think I said sometime either last episode or the one before, I don't think we're going to see Boba again this season. So nailed it. Mm-hmm. And the other is that later on he references when he's talking about his armor, and we'll get to that. But he references Cobb Vanth, and you think,
yes.
So what the fuck were you doing this whole time? You could have just gone and confronted Cobb Vanth. Why were you like laying low and waiting for Mando to take it before you jumped in on that? You know what I mean?
And then instead of like jumping Cobb when he's having a couple too many snooches of hooch, in the bar. He waits until Mando's got it, and he got to travel across the galaxy with a homing beacon to be like, "Hey, I'm gonna do you a favor.
You know what it is?
I'm gonna protect you and the child.
He's intimidated he's intimidated by Cobb Vanth's hair. He didn't.
Right.
He didn't want to go near him.
Nobody looks as good in his armor. He's like Will Smith in a suit in MIB. I make this look good.
No, hang on. I think Boba Fett's got the bald look going on. I'm gonna defend the bald guys. He looks way better, even though with the scarred up face and everything from the pit of the Sarlacc. Maybe he was tracking the Mandalorian. He didn't know about Cobb Vanth. Maybe he was tracking.
No, he said, "You have my armor that Cobb Vanth had."
Right. Well, maybe he found out about Cobb Vanth. Maybe he found out about Cobb Vanth by tracking the Mandalorian. Like he's following his trail.
Oh, so it was like newfound knowledge. Like after he saw him fly by on the speeder with a chunk of meat in the back, that was a very important plot point. He walks down the dune and kind of gets the who's who from Cobb Vanth about what's going on with the
how's your father?
Okay, yeah.
Well, if we're to believe what they have rumored is going to be in this potential Boba Fett short series, we'll probably get a lot of answers to that because it's supposed to be in between those two. This is going to be prequel to what we're seeing in Mandalorian. So we'll eventually find out, but it just made me question it when he's like, Cobb Vanth had that armor, and I'm like, well, then why did you wait this long? I just didn't understand.
I also liked the little Grogu meditation posing. Like he's sitting inside of his little force bubble, meditation. I'm like, I just kept thinking of
our Monkey Poo Studios.
Do your Venwasa, my friend. Like, do a nice little. Like I could see him going into like downward dog, and then
he's doing yoga on the rock. I like how there's like
Yoda doing yoga. Yoda yoga.
There we go. He's got like this force field, long distance phone line going through the sky.
Yeah.
He can't get through it. So he's like, you know what? Yeah, you do you. I'm going to see about what's going on down here. He just like walks down the rocks.
So yeah, so old Mando takes off and he sees Slave One land and he goes to investigate, and then like out of nowhere he just like, as he's by a rock, this big ass machine gun blaster fire. Like it scared me. Like I jumped. Oh, like I'm used to like listening to the blaster sounds like pew, pew.
Okay.
But it was like a machine gun. It was like brrr. I'm like, what the fuck? Is he in World War II all of a sudden?
All of a sudden, yeah.
And then another reference to World War II. Funny, I should bring that up. When the troops land and there's like that, they're waiting to drop the ramp. Yeah. And the stormtroopers
D-Day.
are just going to go. Yes. World War II, D-Day. That's exactly what I thought.
Saw. Yeah.
Yep. I was thinking the same exact thing. I was like, man, that's crazy. Like these guys are like, who's going to be the first two through the breach?
Yeah.
And like, you got Boba Fett and Fennec. Well, there you go. We learn that Boba and Fennec Shand have teamed up.
Yeah, so he was the one that knelt down with on Tatooine that we saw last year.
You could hear his spurs.
Right.
You know how we talked about hearing his spurs in that episode? Then, well, when he walks up to talk to Mando in this episode, you hear the spurs.
I predicted that. I predicted Fennec wasn't dead.
Ding.
So
that's
you
one
did.
For you.
And that was one of the things we were wrong with, because we couldn't figure out if Fennec ended up back in prison. Like, we figured she was alive. How was she going to? Are we going to see Cobb again? Like, where was it? And it was just like, oh no, it was Boba. He rescued her, saved her. Apparently, knows some people that can give her a new stomachectomy.
She's got those metal abs
we're off
now.
And running. I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Looked like some sort of like Terminator parts inside there. That's what I was given a call back to. But she's still alive. Boba says something to the effect of, fate sometimes steps in to rescue the wretched.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Line.
That was a pretty sweet little line.
And did you get the like my father before me reference?
Yes. And did you get what he said before that? He said, I'm a simple man making his way through the galaxy. That's exactly what Jango said to Kenobi on Camino.
Yes.
Also, he says the armor was his father's, which we said there's no possible way, because we were arguing about this. I said it was Jango's armor, and you guys were like, no, it doesn't look the same. Jango's armor was blue, the helmet was blue, this, and this. And I was like, okay, well, he said that this armor belonged to my father, but it doesn't look alike. It doesn't look the same, right?
Correct.
So I was like, what happened? It got recolored or retooled, or is it oxidization? It turns green. Remember I made that comment about the Statue of Liberty?
No, it was his backup. It was in the closet. You didn't see it on Camino. It was his backup set of armor.
Oh, spoiler alert.
And,
Easter egg.
And we discussed whether that armor was Beskar or not, and now we know that it is.
Right.
Yep. But there's something about, so we're going to kind of go back and forth on this, because I just like, when he puts that fucking armor on and lands, and that stormtrooper does that fucking like horror movie, like the monster's behind me, and he turns and he's fucking like just rises up. I was like, what a fucking shot. Like, that is how you introduce Boba Fett.
You focus on the crate dragon me. I keep focusing on that fucking rocket. Where do they keep getting replacement rockets for that goddamn pack?
This is Amazon drones.
It's like Amazon Prime's one overnight.
Every time he uses one, it alerts the system, and it'll just send him.
He's got it on
at.
subscription.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
a daily drop.
He's got like 30 of them.
And I don't want to nitpick somebody's physique, but he's put on a few pounds since he used to wear that.
That shot where he's up on the rock and you
son of a
see
bitch.
the gut, and I didn't want to say anything though. I didn't want to show, there's a little bit of
He's not going to be doing the cover where he's like covering Fennec Shang, because he's got like a little, like, looks like Iron Man's chest piece.
He's got
on
a
him.
bit of a dad bod.
Yeah, he's like, I can still fit my high school football uniform. Watch.
Yeah. Apparently he ate very good on Tatooine.
They should have done something there, because it's like his chest piece is covering like in between his nipples.
Yes,
that's about it.
I thought he looked like he definitely filled it out. Like, I compared it to like how we mocked Cobb Vanth in it, right?
Yes.
And him, like, I almost wonder if they were two different sizes, like for Cobb Vanth, because he's much more of a skinnier man,
right,
and they made like a bigger chest plate for the actor to play Boba. But yeah, like, other than like a little bit of the gut or whatever, like, I thought like he looked good in the fucking.
He looked good in it. It just stood.
Menacing.
It just stood out that it almost looked like he was like. I guess the crate dragon meat goes right to your belly. Because
it does.
Like
yeah.
Little Santa thing going on there.
Boba hasn't been doing the keto. He's been he's been drinking a couple of too many boba teas. There's a lot of sugar in those things. He's got a little bit of a gut there. Yeah. So, but yeah, he's also scarred all up on his head. Looks like, but dude, I could not be more happy with him. Like, as whoever's playing his character, what's his name? Tamura. Yeah. That dude fucking can act. And he's got Boba Fett down to like a science, like cold.
I think it was brilliant for them to show how ruthless he was without the armor, so you could see his face.
What is that?
You could see how fucking dude. And let's call back, because you thought he had a weed whacker on him. Remember?
Yeah.
Like there's a scene. There's a shot where he jumps off the rock, exactly like a Tusken Raider, right? He's in the robes and everything, and it hit me. I was like, oh my God, that's what he's got. He's got what the fucking Tusken Raiders hold over when they go, yeah, over Luke or whatever. That's what he's holding. So he carries one of those. And
if we're going to do sound effect, Matt has to.
Sorry, my bad.
No. You got it. You nailed that one.
Thank you. And it's called a
coward.
It's called a gaffy stick.
Yeah, I was looking for
that.
Yep.
And he demolishes face masks.
Dude, the shot where he hits the stormtrooper in the face and then his body like crumples and he's like his legs up at this weird angle and he like nails him. You don't see him, like you just see PVC flying.
Yeah.
And then like the camera looks down on the stormtrooper who's just this crumpled mess of death, and like his face is half blown away and his legs up at this weird angle. I'm like, God damn.
I want to see him and the armorer get into a fight with a bunch of stormtroopers.
Well, don't you love how he's using his rifle the whole time? Then he's just like, you know what? Fuck this. I want to get a little more personal with my attacks.
We're going close combat.
I love that.
Yeah, he almost does the samurai meditation sitting behind the rock.
Yeah.
I'm one with the Force is one with me. He's sitting back there, then the stormtroopers come around and he's like, hello. And he comes out and just starts waylaying him.
What's funny, and I guess it doesn't need to be said, but we have more Boba Fett in this episode than we've ever had in 40 years.
Yeah, and also a shout out to Fennec Shand.
Yeah.
She's out there just fucking. She doesn't miss. She 360 no scoped a motherfucker, jumping off the like.
That was straight out of Mission Impossible.
Cliff.
I mean that little jump off, turn back and fire move. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
another one.
That was a Robert Rodriguez. Let's get that. I mean, El Mariachi. He does that off the rooftop.
Yeah.
Like
my son was watching. He's sitting there for a few minutes and was like, Cole, here comes the 360 no scope. He's like, she scoped in, Dad. That wasn't a no scope. I was like, okay, fine. Be an ass. It's like ruin all my fun. But she does the. She's fighting off on her own, and she kind of splits up. Apparently, Mando doesn't learn his lesson of like attacking force fields, because he goes in and tries to penetrate that force field like 3 different times during the episode.
It's like a season 1 callback, by the way, because remember how much he just would get his ass kicked in season 1? It was kind of he hasn't been getting his butt kicked quite as much this year. I guess he did get shot up like by a stormtrooper, but for the most part, he hasn't been.
He hasn't been knocked out. So the first time it knocks him out, he's just up there napping while Boba Fett and Fennec are down there just defending them. The Raiders of the Lost Ark. She does the stone roll. That thing was, and how stupid of a storm. I know the stormtroopers aren't the most, they're the smartest people in the galaxy, but he's sitting there he's got the web gun or whatever it is, and he's just blasting at the rock, and it's like, you're not breaking pieces off of this thing.
Right.
It's rolling at you.
He doesn't even do a jump and roll.
No, he just sits there. He just brings it down. He's like
going down with the ship.
Well, it's a movie trope you see a lot with where like somebody's running away from a falling tree or building or whatever it is. It's like if you just turn, it won't hit you, but you just keep running away from it. You just turn 5 feet, it goes right by. By the way, did you hear there was a point where there was kind of that negotiation part again, where he essentially Boba said, I want that armor and it belongs to me. And then, the Mandalorian was like, you're not even a Mandalorian, blah, blah, blah. They go through that whole business. But
the whole creed thing.
Right. But he says, I want that armor, and in exchange, I guarantee the safety of the child and you. So he does throw that out there, which comes into play later, which is a key.
Correct. And they also, a little bit of probably foreshadowing for later on is the bounty on them are now worth 10 Beskar suits.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's gone way up.
Bounty's gone up on
he's going to need the protection, but we're probably going to see a lot more people coming in for these. Well, who knows if he gets a child back? We hope he does. But yeah,
right.
So I like there's a lot of these little nuances that'll probably come back into play later on.
We also get introduced to another class of stormtrooper, right? The mortar guy.
Yeah, they're
orange.
In the
he's got
Attack
the orange
of the Clones cartoon.
Yep, he's got the orange mortar,
racing stripes on him.
Right. Yeah.
The other one was the fire guy, the flamethrower one. He was red, right?
Yeah.
He had the red stripes.
Yeah.
So classification
and it's called back again when the stormtroops first land. First of all, that's the exact same shot or ship from Episode 7 when they land on the to meet Poe with BB-8, right? And they could drop down, but it's all at when the camera's in there and the shaking,
Right.
and you get the
Yeah.
it's the same like music or whatever they do. I was like, oh, call back to that. Like I love all the little things that they do to like make you instantly tie into something you've seen before.
Those drop ships were also seen in episode 7, the very first part of episode
That's
7.
what I'm saying.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I didn't know if that's what you were talking
Okay.
about. Like
But-
you were talking about the inside shot. I
Is
thought.
it the same ship?
Shut up, man.
Is it the same ship that Rey explodes when she thinks
Chewie's
Chewie's
on there?
Good question.
maybe.
I don't know if that's the same exact ship.
Okay.
Same vertical, like escaping the planet type of a
I
scenario.
almost thought it was the same, like they took the same shot and then just did a little bit more VFX shots so they didn't have to spend a whole bunch of money redoing the whole thing.
I was gonna say it could be the ship that she tried to explode during episode 8.
Nailed it.
I'm gonna Courtney this episode
You
to the
think
death.
Ben Solo is going to be in this episode?
Yeah. Sorry, I literally was not paying attention.
I'm going to have to ask you to look at me when I talk.
But by the way, at some point while there's all this action's going on, Boba looks over and sees the crest and is like, "Wait a minute, my armor's in there.
Right.
I'm gonna go put that shit on."
All
Yeah.
the doors are open
Yep.
to this ship.
But it's also the most impenetrable fortress. If you just nothing on the planet can touch it.
Right, if you lock the door.
If you can get.
But I love how like they you get the idea like he's going to go get his armor, but this is where like then you get the back-to-back Fennec and Mando shooting it all up. Everything's closing in on them. They're like, oh shit. They discuss like if we get out of this, I left you for dead, so definitely owe you one. We're good if we get out of this. And then he fucking lands and shows why he is the most ruthless bounty hunter in the fucking galaxy. Like every weapon at his disposal,
Yes.
except for the rocket. He holds on to that for a few minutes, but even the fucking, and you pointed out, didn't even know these existed, the little kneecap rocket launchers.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? And you sent me a picture. Was it you, right? That sent me the picture.
No,
of
I think
or
that was
it
Dave.
Dave, yeah. From 30 years ago, some guidebook or whatever, and
Yeah.
this is Boba Fett. It was a breakdown, like little rocket knee pads. And I was like, who knows that? Like, who's like, oh, we're going to use this for... I love, like, that's the one where the stormtroopers are like, yeah, we're done. They go running away.
He just killed Brett with a knee shot. Let's get out of here.
He also does the rocket propelled punch with the left hand.
That was fucking awesome.
That was cool. Yeah, he used all the tricks. It was like a show off of all the stuff that armor can do. It's almost like, yeah, Cobb may have run around using that armor for a while, but this is the guy who knows how to use every piece of it. So you could see all of it.
Yeah, like fluidly. Like it was just like the way he ran and just did it was like he is the John Wick of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. Oh,
And that.
hold
Go
on.
ahead, man.
When we talked about the whole like Power Rangers feel earlier, part of what made it worse for me is just in that moment when Mando and Fennec come together. It's kind of cheeseball the way they're talking. It's like he's like, "Let's move in." She's like, "This doesn't look good. I've seen worse." And they're just back and forth going across.
I like
together.
that. That's an action movie trope.
Yeah,
though.
it was totally action
Yeah.
movie trope. Yeah,
And I like how she's hiding behind him.
Yeah, and he's just taking
popping up and
shots.
shooting, and he's just fucking like he's like Captain America's shield.
Yeah. That Beskar pays off day in and day out.
He even calls it like when they're at the draw with each other, and he's like, "Well, I've got the best car, you don't. Like, I'll take you both down."
Right.
And he pulls out, what do you call them? The Morning Eagles. They've been upgraded, right?
Whistling Eagles.
Whistling Eagles. Yeah.
Whistling condors.
Oh, I love this episode so much. Like even the second time, we have probably talked about it already longer than the episode was. I think it's the shortest episode of both seasons.
Yeah, but it's just packed.
So much happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then we get the rest in peace to the Razor Crest. He better call Jake from State Farm or have insurance or something because nothing left but Beskar's javelin. And,
There is no quill that can rebuild that bad boy.
dude. I couldn't believe it.
The look of horror on his face, it was like my phone and my wallet were in there.
Now how am I going to get home?
But you called it, Jay, obliterated. You said that early on in the season. And
Yeah,
she thought before the season
it's a
started.
goner.
Yeah.
Right. It was one of my predictions, I believe, was the ship was going to go.
So I'm calling it right now. Razor Crest is out. He brings Slave One in, and then the Razor Crest in the same episode gets destroyed. Mando's going to have Slave One by the end of the season.
Nope, I don't think so.
I think it does.
I think because the crew's getting bigger, they need a bigger ship.
Solo has a ship, Millennium Falcon.
Oh,
He's not going to get the Millennium Falcon.
Then they can tell the story of how the Millennium Falcon ends up on Jakku.
interesting theory. I
I
like
think
it.
you're reaching, buddy.
I think I'm reaching too. I definitely think there's going to be. I mean, he needs a new ship, right? But there's going to be some fucking like one-off episode where they just happen to fucking go to every season he's got to go to fucking the cantina. So he's going to go in there, and someone's going to be chilling there. Oh, I got a ship. I'll take you somewhere. Fucking, it's going to be Han.
No, I'm laughing because of that clip you shared in DM earlier where that guy goes, every episode of The Mandalorian, he's like, oh, you're out of milk. You need to go to this other planet. That whole thing is like, it's like 35 seconds long or something. And it's so perfectly done. It's hilarious. I'll share that out. I think I did share it out already in our
Okay.
feed.
Yeah. I don't remember where I was.
So the Razor Crest gets blown up.
Yeah.
Mandalorian, and then it takes a shot to up in space with Moff Gideon, and he's like, they were like, direct hit, Moff. He's like, perfect.
Right.
And he's like, have the Dark Troopers been engaged? And then now
You mean
Iron Man?
Yeah,
down.
absolutely, Iron Man.
Iron Man comes on out of the sky. There's 4 Dark Troopers, and as soon as Mando turns his back on Baby Yoda, he snaps out of the Force trance.
I know,
and
right
like,
away.
Falls asleep. Nappy time, Baby Yoda. I'm tired. Gotta have my binky. Take a sleepy sleep. Dark Troopers come down and they circle Weathertop and land, channeling Iron Man, and they snatch up Grogu. Well, Baby Yoda wakes up and he sees a Dark Trooper. He's like, oh.
Yeah,
Snatch him up.
I was almost like, ooh, are they going to get him? They're not going to get him. They're going to get him. Oh, my God. And he just, like, grabs him, and they take off.
Yep.
Son of a bitch.
Slave One,
Game
Boba's
changer right there is what they call that.
Boba's
Plot
back.
twist, Cole.
Thank you.
Those in the business call it that.
Yeah.
Boba's back in Slave One, and he's following. He's doing a cold pursuit, apparently. And
Right.
what does he say? This isn't a spice dream. That's an Imperial cruiser?
Yeah, it's the first time they've ever talked about, like, what the spices actually do.
Yeah, he's like, basically, I'm not high, all right? I'm looking
Yes,
at an
yes.
Empire ship here. I love that.
He's like, they're back. And what I'm like, he's got a little bit of panic in his voice, but the fucker works for the Empire all the time.
No, he works for everybody.
Right. But so, like, what's he care if they're back?
Well, maybe he double-crossed him.
I think we'll find more out about that in that series they do with him. But it's been 5 years since he's worked for them. So who knows?
He probably, like Han, he still owes some money.
He could. Exactly.
Yep. He's in trouble now. Yeah. A great shot, though. And then, like, he's like, yeah, I'm coming back down. And then you see the Imperial cruiser going to hyperspace. We gone.
Yep.
And then when it cuts to Moff Gideon in the control room, and he's got his hands behind his back, and he's just looking out into hyperspace, and like classical music is playing, like kind of in the background. Did you guys notice that? Like comes in, I'm like,
It's very quiet.
It would have been
Fine.
better if it was like yacht rock or something. It's like crisscross.
And then we see Mando kind of digging through the wreckage. He finds his shaft and balls, and he's good to go. That's all he's got. Got my Beskar and my ball. I'm good to go. And then they hop on Slave One, and we see him land on Navarro.
Well,
we
before
skip a
that,
part.
though. Yeah, go ahead, Cole.
we get the conversation between Boba and Mando about
Correct.
the armor, and we've come to find that Django was a foundling,
Yes.
and that's how he became Mandalorian, and he also fought in the Mandalorian Civil Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know if I'm going to be seeing some of that in Rebels or
I think
Clone
he's
Wars,
referring
maybe.
to older stuff.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
because
stuff,
because
okay.
Django would have been dead by then.
So Boba kind of has a Mandalorian code as well. He kind of is like,
Correct.
we haven't finished the job. Me and Fennec Shand haven't finished the job. We promised you the safety of the child.
Mm-hmm.
And Mando gives him the master negotiator that Mando is. He's like, you guys are good. You good to go. You fulfilled your oath. And then Boba's like, well, technically we haven't. So
What do you mean?
We're gonna help you. Pray tell, he says.
Fucking go team, by the way. Here we go. We're going to create a super
Yes.
team now. This is exciting.
Right,
Yep.
yeah. So we got two Mandalorians.
Back to
We've
Navarro
got
they
a
go.
hitman, and we're going to get Bill Burr.
Yep, back to Navarro. He pulls a few favors and has Cara Dune run.
Marshall.
Marshall Cara
She
Dune.
couldn't resist that shiny badge.
Apparently, it's not an ethical thing to run a criminal through the database like it is here in the United
Well, not
States.
to give the information to the citizens,
Yeah, well, you're not supposed
even
to.
an off-world citizen.
You're supposed to use the law enforcement information network for your own personal gain.
That's
Jason.
true.
You'd know that if you were a criminal justice major like me.
I like how she had it right up and running. Like she didn't even have to like log in or nothing.
Yeah, he's doing 50 years for hijacking a prisoner. What did she say? 50 years in some sort of mines.
50
or something.
years in the Carthon chop fields, which
Yes.
two things there. One, I think that's new. I don't think that's been referenced before. And two, it's like, oh, so the Republic's not fucking around. Like you're going to do your time.
Right.
So,
Hard labor, Bill. Bill's just probably yoked now.
I know. He's like down there just hitting rocks.
I've been cutting up
Like a little
Y-wings.
prisoner.
I've been cutting up Y-wings with a fucking saw for 20 years. You can fucking finally come down here and get me?
I feel like they're going to open up like on some prison or whatever, and you're going to see Bill Burr getting like a prison fight.
Yeah, good.
And is he chosen because of the fact that he used to work for the Empire? That's why, because he's the one who'll be able to help him track down Gideon, right?
Right.
Now it's because he's in prison. They took away all of his weapons. He's just got like a extra arm instead of an extra gun. It just comes out and it punches people.
It's a dildo. Sorry.
Comes out holding a fish and it just slaps people with a trout. He pushes a button and it comes out with a chicken wing and he just starts eating. Takes a bite. What do you got to negotiate, Mando? Takes another bite.
He's like in a cell with 2 bodyguards behind him. Have a seat.
But Kara says, I have to follow the rules now. And he's like, they have the kid. And then it cuts. So you wonder, is she going to be involved in any shape or form because of the fact that she feels for the kid, even though she has these new duties, or is she going to stick to her new job and not get involved?
I think it's too easy for her just to stick around Navarro. So my guess is she's going to throw it all away for the child.
She's wasting her potential, too.
Yeah,
just sitting there as sheriff in Navarro.
Yeah.
Back onto the Imperial cruiser, walking down the hallway, we get to see Baby Yoda's a bit of a fucking sadist. He's in there just fucking force throwing these
like fucking ragdolls.
Jeff and Bill, the stormtroopers, he's just like fucking, they're like, ah! You hear him screaming. He's just, Baby Yoda's just finish him. Fucking kill these guys.
I thought
force
he was
choke
when
him.
he started force choking and they kind of hold that shot and I was like, oh my God, this is where we're going to see
Baby
Yoda
Yoda's
goes
got
dark.
a fucking cruel streak to him.
Well, the dark side is showing some signs here with the force choke. That's not good.
That and Ahsoka wouldn't train him because there was much fear and much anger in him.
So this goes back to The Rock. Who'd he talk to? What'd he reach out with?
Oh, well, because you threw this theory out in our DM after we recorded last week that you have this. You think he's going to go bad.
I'll quit the show if I'm wrong. That's how. That's how fucking right I think I am with this. I promise you that he is going to go dark.
Hear that, Dave?
Yep.
We're gonna have a new.
We're gonna need a number 1 mic here because you can imagine like every week I'm listening to the show. What a dummy! I'm writing in emails.
No, or even better, Cole still comes over here to record it at your house. You just have to sit out of the side.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys ever consider shut up? You're off the show, remember?
That's hilarious.
Oh man.
No, I think that it makes the most. Are we in the speculation? Are we wrapped up here?
Well, let's wrap it up real quick.
Okay.
So Moff comes in and he gets kind of witnesses Baby Yoda doing his thing. He calls off the stormtrooper.
There's a lot that happens in this room that's like goes unsaid as well.
Moff just like teasingly, mockingly, like, "Oh, it makes you so tired, though, doesn't it?" And he like kneels down in front of him. He's like, "Hey, you ever seen one of these?"
Yeah. Pulls out his dick.
What a fucking prick this guy is. Moff, get in, you fucking asshole.
You wave that around a kid's face.
Pulls out the dark saber. He's like, "Oh, no, don't touch it." Then
That's how you end up on a list.
Well, he said, does he say, "You'll poke an eye out," or "You'll poke my eye out"?
I think he says "an eye," but I liked your thought of foreshadowing.
I think it's foreshadowing. I think because he's sort of like we see Moff Gideon.
You gonna quit the show if you're wrong?
Sort of turning into Vader, right? So at some point he's gonna need he needs the villain's mask or something. So instead of making him straight up Vader mask, Kylo Ren mask, he's gonna have some type of patch or something, like a little something's gonna go over the face.
Season 3 is called Buccaneer.
Yeah. Oh! I think he's going to lose his eye. I'm telling you right now. Yoda's not going. He's going. And then the joke was that he's going to poke it out and eat it. But I don't think he's going to go. I don't think Disney will go that far.
Maybe when Baby Yoda goes to the dark side and then you don't have to quit the show, he's going to reach out and just start suck. That's going to be his movie. Sucks your eyeball out with the Force and then eats it.
Now, he also, when he walks in the room and sees them being, Bill and Tom being thrown around the room, he doesn't blink. So he's been around. He knows what the Force is. He's seen it used. So even the fact that he does nothing says a lot.
And then he has Robert, the stormtrooper, in the back, fucking piece of shit, stun guns, little baby, helpless Baby Yoda.
Yeah,
puts him
He's
to sleep.
the same guy that shot Leia too.
And then
it looked just like it.
Yeah,
the stun. Yep. Well, and did you catch what he said to Baby Yoda? He said, "Have you seen one of these?" He said, "Have you ever seen one of these from years past?"
Yes.
So I thought that was kind of interesting too that he noted that. So he clearly knows some sort of history about the baby and how he might have been exposed to something like that before.
And then they also say, when we get out of hyperspace, send an encrypted message to Dr. Pershing.
Yes. contact Pershing and say we've got our donor. So that was kind of the end of that. And then they just show the poor little baby asleep with his tiny little shackles on.
I know. Do you think that he is looking to be injected himself?
I've wondered about that, and I wonder if all these tests they're doing, he wants it to. Is it for the creation of a being, or is it to test it out in a bunch of lab rats, essentially, till they know it's going to work and not kill him, and then he wants to be injected with it himself? It's a good question.
So speculation time. I think we get the death of Boba Fett, and I think
death of Boba Fett.
I think we get the death of Boba Fett, and I think
That's
the
some
Mandalorian
balls right there.
The Mandalorian takes
you
over.
Finally saw him. He dead.
Bequeaths him Slave One, and I also think Boba's going to get that javelin. That fits him better, like because he had that. What is it?
The
The
spear?
Beskar staff.
I think Boba's going to get the javelin at some point because he was rolling with that curved. What's it called? The Sand People weapon.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, the gaffy stick.
The gaffy stick. So I feel like that is more his fighting style. Mando doesn't seem to know what the fuck to do with that thing.
Correct, but if you're going to see anybody go up against a Dark Saber without a lightsaber, it's going to be Mando with that staff.
I'd like to see maybe the opening scene of Troy where they throw the javelin.
Yeah.
Like Boagrius against Achilles and he fucking whips it. I'd like to see a nice javelin kill.
Nice.
Sometime in the future.
All right.
That'd be
So you're
sweet.
predicting that as well.
I'm not predicting it. I'd like to see it.
Okay.
But I don't know how heavy that Beskar fucking steel is. I don't think that thing is going to do much distance.
Oh, I think it can go through quite a bit. Those things.
I got it. Bill Burr's mechanical arm. You got to load the javelin up in that thing. It's got to ratchet back. Tick, 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 tick. Fucking whip that thing. It's going to go through. It's going to take down an entire.
Fuck me, he cleared it. It's going to be one of those
two Imperial
shots
cruisers
from the Matrix where you just from the overhead you watch it go from down the hallway, through doors, through the hallway, through the ship. It's going to go all the way until it breaks the fucking windshield of the ship.
Sucks them out into space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who's going to be on his team aside from who we've seen so far? I mean, obviously Mando, Boba, Fennec, Mayfield, maybe Cara. We don't know.
I think Cara and Grief will both be there.
Grief,
I don't know if we'll see the Mythrol or not.
Cobb?
But definitely. Ooh.
Without the armor, Cobb's kind of just a normal.
Yeah, I don't know
Dude.
if we'll see Cobb again.
Bo-Katan? Ahsoka?
Wolf Trapper?
Toro? Oh no, thank God he's dead.
Well, what about the Jedi? Like, who'd he reach out to? Who was? I think we're going to see maybe Grogu's knocked out, right? We're going to see him reliving a moment or something, and we'll see who he's talking to.
Or you're going to get at the end of an episode a Jedi or an Inquisitor, maybe, or somebody evil is going to show up at Weathertop and be like,
where's he at?
What's going on over here? I got a call on my Force pager.
Right, he
Got a
pulls out
missed
his flip
call.
phone, his flip saber.
It's like the chain code that Boba Fett had, and is he push a button on your thing and it pops up. You have a missed call from Baby Yoda.
Yeah, it made me wonder. I mean, there was speculation about Mace being somehow involved and him being the one he's reaching out to, and was he the one who saved him when Order 66 happened and all that kind of stuff. And so it made me wonder if they really go that deep into it, if they really go for it and bring someone like that back, are they showing up right at the end of the season as kind of like a, hey, so I got this call from the baby and I was able to track him because of his Force powers. So I'm going to show up and help the super team, do their battle.
I don't know if he goes dark. I don't see a Jedi showing up. It'll be more Sith related, right?
Well, you're focused on the dark. I'm still thinking more of he's captured than he's turning dark, but you're seeing him just be dark.
Well, yeah, sure. I think he'll be rescued, but I think the dark is like an element. Maybe they'll tease through season 3, and it makes sense because there has to be that whole. If we stick with one of the Star Wars themes is father son, right? It's also redemption, So if he does go dark, what can Mando do to rescue him, to bring him back to the light? I even said the little ball. I went real dark in our little chat room. I said that Baby Yoda's going to use that little thing as a weapon. Grogu, right? He's just going to start killing people with it all the time. And by the end, when it wraps up, just before the redemption moment, he's going to kill Mando by throwing that fucking thing.
I can't believe you think he's going to kill Mando.
Oh yeah, he's gone.
So here's my question:
Oh my God!
If he's going to be,
you are so quitting the show.
I'm not quitting over that one.
If Baby Yoda or Grogu turns dark, so who's going to be his Sith? So who's going to be the Sith to train him?
Right.
If he's going to be, because there's always one Sith, one apprentice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to be no more, no less? Who's going to be? Who's available? Darth Maul, maybe, right? Is available.
Nope.
I say
3 and
Mara
4,
Jade.
right?
I think they're going to introduce a new
Why
one.
isn't Darth available?
Do you really want to know?
Okay, maybe something happens that I don't know about.
You'll find
Fair
out
enough.
in Rebels.
I gotta finish that fucking episode. I'm so fucking sick and tired of being behind on the show.
Well, and unless they decide Moff is injecting whatever midichlorians in himself, and he's becoming that other person, and they're the two.
Yeah,
to
but
go with your
neither
Darth.
of them would be a master.
Maybe Moff turns into Snoke,
Moff Gideon.
Well, fuck. Technically, the Emperor's still around, sort of.
Dude,
but he's got an apprentice
that
already.
just made me hard.
The Emperor's already got an apprentice.
Who's going to see that coming? Yeah, but he's like, no.
Maybe
no,
he
because-
injects his Baby Yoda blood and he turns into
Snoke is
Snoke.
a clone, so it's not going to be Moff.
Well, was that confirmed?
Yes.
No. When?
It is confirmed that Snoke is a clone.
In
Because
Rise of
you
Skywalker.
you see all the dead clones on Exegol
The throwaways.
when Kylo first visits.
So
him.
the
Yeah.
waste
but it
paper
doesn't-
basket.
But
Right.
that doesn't necessarily absolutely make Snoke a clone. Maybe like Moff gets turned into like
Like maybe he's the hybrid that he starts using to clone to make more Snokes. Like his DNA along with Moff's, they make new versions of until they get version 7.2.
if Moff isn't Snoke, I'll
You'll
quit the show.
Okay.
Wow.
That's gonna be. We got a new episode title. We'll quit the show.
Jesus, I'm going to be lonely doing my show next year all by myself. You think he's going to... I still feel like he's going to see the armor at some point. I feel like that's going to be part of next episode. I think episode 7 is going to be the assemble the team, pull shit together, and get to wherever they're going. And then episode 8 is the climax of the battle to save the baby, etc. So I'm wondering if he's going to go see that armor, maybe with Boba, and be like, hey, so you might want to talk to this gal because she makes some good shit.
Maybe they mold the Beskar spear into some sort of like new weapon. for
Like I
Boba
thought
Fett.
that they would mold that, drop that down and turn it into some type of armor or something like that. But I still think that spear is going to fight the Dark Saber.
I know what they're gonna do. I figured it out.
Oh yeah.
So they're gonna replenish the rockets. It's gonna be a Beskar rocket.
He's like
So worried about that rocket.
I'm hung up on it. Like
He's like a returnable rocket. Like it just shoots off the explosive or whatever, and then the rocket comes back. And then all he just has to do is just load a little tip to the
he reloads it. Himself.
Like Elon Musk is working on it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think in that last episode, you're going to see the fight. I think somebody important is going to die. I don't know who it is.
Where's the fight going to happen? All right. So I think this time they're going to, them being our team is going to Moff Gideon.
Mm-hmm.
So where's Homeworld? You think they're brave enough to be on Mustafar?
Mustafa.
They could. Yeah, I was just kind of envisioning it happening on a ship. But yeah, I guess it would make more sense if it was on a world because there's a little more options to create that fight scene. I'm not sure.
Is he gonna assemble the frog lady and her husband for his team?
That'll be useful.
I picture them as being like healers towards the back, like healers in an RPG game.
So now we're playing Final Fantasy.
They're just throwing like
He has to
casting spells.
grab everybody he's met so far in the first 2 seasons. So there's just like an urn with Quill in it. Sorry. Poor Quill.
Will we see Blurg? It's just an urn.
Blurgs.
They're
Blurgs are
gonna go into war on Blurgs.
It's just an urn tied to the back of a Blurg that runs.
Okay, so we know they need a ship because he's not riding around the slave one forever. We know Boba
gonna be
Fett's
his.
around. Boba
Tell
Fett's
me.
not going to die. You're not quitting the show because you're wrong. He's not
the show if I want.
He's going to be a new. I think he's going to be shipless for a while. I'm telling you, the fucking Millennium Falcon's coming.
He's not going to get the Millennium Falcon.
He's not going to
so
get it.
Stupid.
But he's going to get a ride on it.
There's so many. The funny thing is this. There's so
I
many.
wish there was a spreadsheet somewhere of like people keeping a tally of how many rights and wrongs we've had.
Wouldn't it be
I'm telling you, I've had a few good
Hey,
ones. I've had
wouldn't
a
it-
few right ones.
Wouldn't it be fucking amazing if we were at the end of all of the shit, we were like 40% dead on our speculation?
Nailed the 40%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you do. You flood the airwaves with as many theories as possible. So then when any of them come true, it's like nailed it.
We were right.
Yeah. But what about all those ones you
Best
guessed wrong?
Star
Yeah,
Wars
that doesn't
podcast in the business.
We saw that coming. Everyone else that's not listening.
You're like, back on episode 10, we said this. Of course, we immediately turned around and said the opposite, but we did say it at one point. So technically we get credit for that.
They can't accuse us of not covering our bases.
No.
So these episodes, the last couple, seem to be moving faster and faster. So we're going to start the episode off with them like landing to go pick up Burr's character, right?
We're going to see some Dark Sabers versus the Avengers. Or, I'm sorry, Dark Sabers. We're going to see some Dark Troopers versus the Avengers type of action, I think, somewhere.
Like some Ultron
and I want to
shit.
see what those guys can do. If they're about as disappointing as the guards for the magistrate, then
the assassin droids or whatever.
Just get one-shotted every time.
So we're going to see a Dark Saber fight against the Spear. We're going to see the Dark Troopers. So he's going to need a team. You're right. I think it's probably wise to say someone's going to die.
Yeah.
But who? I'm going to say Grief Karga.
Could be Grief. Could be Kara. I mean, easily Mayfield could die because
true.
He would have served his purpose.
There is some. Kara has been causing some waves. You know, she's been.
Yeah, but they've already shot all this before she
on the
went
social
pro-Trump.
medias,
right?
So maybe that's the excuse to.
Maybe they called her back in. We're just shooting a scene here. You're just
gonna play dead. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Just do it. It's fine. Just to cover our bases. Yeah, I mean, any one of those characters could die. I really don't think Boba Fett's gonna die, even though I know you do, Cole. But I feel like he and Mando and Baby Yoda and Gideon are the four that will survive no matter what happens in this.
Yeah, I think we're for to go back to the Boba Fett show. I think season 1, if they do more, if it's not just a standalone, will be the past, and then we'll be caught up, and then second season will be what's Boba Fett doing in the future. You know, he'll go off on his own. He'll have his own stories again.
I am excited to watch him do anything, because I don't know. I fell in love with him in this episode. So much fun. And he's got no hair. I love him. He's everything I want to be. I'm gonna get those tattoos on my head, like scar tattoos,
and just sit out in the sun all day long.
Yeah, get dark as shit.
Yeah.
You got to work on that missile supply. That's the only thing you need.
I'm gonna put excuse to gain weight too. Get myself a dad bod. more of a dad bod than I already have. That, to clarify.
Stop tightening it up. Is what you're gonna do?
I'm gonna stop tightening it up.
Let yourself go.
Let myself go.
Yeah.
Like
back to the fridge at night.
Back to the future.
Back to the fridge. That's a good one. Yeah.
I think we're good. I think we've called it all. Let's get into our Maul bag.
I'm a representative of the United States government, authorized by
Order 66.
And I'm your postman.
So you can send us emails at facpapod@gmail.com or DM us on Twitter at FacpaPod, and we will address those each week. And we got a bunch of them this week, so we appreciate everybody reaching out and sending us their thoughts. You know, you do get, and we'll get into the giveaway for the Saber here shortly, so you are being incentivized to send in mails, but we like to think that you're doing it anyway.
Yeah, they're enjoying the show as much as, you know, they want to reap the benefits of a brand new Dark Saber in their house.
So. I hope so. Somebody may say something to that point in a minute. But email number 1, this is from Henno. Why is it Darth Ginger can properly pronounce Ahsoka but not Wolf? The Force calls for balance.
What did I say?
I don't know if he's saying it because you were purposely saying Ashoka, or it's because you actually, when you weren't making the joke, actually were saying it correctly. But then at one point when you referred to Wolf Trapper, you said it really weird.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Say Wolf.
Yeah, because I think I was
say
like
Wolf right
Wolf.
now. Okay.
Wolf. But I was I couldn't think of the full name, and I think you said Wolf Trapper. So yeah, I know there was something there, but I don't remember saying wolf wrong. Maybe I was just like cub, cat, mountain goat. What is he?
And I think you do provide a balance with how many you get right and wrong. It's pretty
right. It's
40%. Yeah, exactly. He says, "May the Force go with you," as the Jedi used to say. Thanks, Henno.
Yeah, thanks, Henno, and I hope you win the Dark Saber.
I forgot about that.
I thought you would call him. I hope you don't win the Dark Saber because he called you out.
No, I'm happy to know that Henno's listening. Henno's been around a long time, so it's nice that he's still listening to the silly podcast that we're doing.
Henno.
He has been in the Wookiee Poo studios, as a matter of fact, at one point.
Well, he was over at Grant's, but yeah.
Was it Grant? Okay, I thought it was yours. Now, email number 2. Hi, fellow Star Wars geeks. This is from Aurelia. Aurelia?
Oh, we got to keep this keep it clean because we'll get to that. But
yes, this is the daughter of. Do you want to explain? This is the daughter of.
This is the daughter of one of my best friends growing up, Josh. Or in my phone, he's just Ua Joshua.
Oh, right. You mentioned him, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So she says, "Hi, fellow Star Wars geeks. I was wondering why Jedis don't like Mandalorians. Would you guys like to explain?"
Somebody who's seen Rebels, tell them, because I haven't.
Well, they've had an ongoing war for many years with the
Right.
Jedi, to the point where, like, in the end, the Jedi basically freaking do like scorched earth and turn Mandalore into a wasteland. So that probably is why they don't like each other.
Is the Siege of Mandalore... So I'll ask. Is the Siege of Mandalore Jedi versus Mandalorians?
Isn't the Siege of Mandalore covered in that edition, that new season they released of Clone Wars? Isn't that when the Siege of Mandalore is covered? And isn't it about Maul and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, he kind of becomes like the leader or something, and he gets the Dark Saber.
He takes it from Pre-Vizsla.
Yes. Well, I haven't watched the Siege of Mandalore, so I don't know. But the Jedi and the Mandalores, I think, goes back way before that.
Okay, here we go. The Siege of Mandalore, also known as the Battle of Mandalore, or the Attack on Mandalore, which engulfed the Outer Rim world of Mandalore at the end of the Clone Wars, was a battle that saw the Galactic Republic military intervention on the side of the rebels against those loyal to the Shadow Collective.
Right, the Shadow Collective is Darth Maul.
Mm-hmm.
And that was during the Mandalorian Civil War. So that was, which was mentioned earlier in this episode.
Yeah, there's a number of civil wars that happen in Mandalore. I think it's more than one. Like the one that he talks about in that show is from previous, and this is more recent.
I think that's why we're starting to learn about these different offshoots, these sects of different Mandalores and their codes.
Yes. Ooh, I wonder if we're going to get a Commander Rex anytime.
I would think so.
Unless he's dead and I don't know about it.
No, I think he'll show up. Allegedly, he's in Return of the Jedi. You know, that scene where there's all those troopers on Endor, and there's a guy with a big white beard, and they're like, that's supposed to be Rex.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought that was Cliff from Cheers.
No, that's Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, got it.
Let's see here. Then she says, also, my dad doesn't let me listen to the whole show because you guys have potty mouths. That's true.
Poop mouth?
One entry for me for every bad word on the next show. That Dark Saber will look great above my bed. Dad says that should keep the boys away.
Keep any young,
I love it.
young Padawans that are showing interest
Oh, man, that's
at bay.
They're
Thank
all
you.
the dark side.
Thank you, Aurelia.
I love that we've got, a younger person listening to the show. This show is an all ages podcast, apparently.
Yeah.
I even wrote him. I said, "You let her listen to the show?" He's like, "Well, I have to censor quite a bit of it." He said,
I don't know how he does that.
We watch the show on Fridays, and something about we listen to the show Monday mornings in the car. And yeah, I don't know if he's editing. Like, she hears a good 8 minutes of the show because there's some.
I mean,
it's not too raunchy.
I don't think we're too potty mouth. We're not poop mouth that bad, but
I don't know. I made a dildo joke earlier in the show, so that's probably not good.
yeah, when do you grow up, Matt? Do you have anything you'd like to say to Aurelia, Jason?
Welcome to the show.
And
I hope you win. I hope
there
you
you
win
go.
the Dark Saber.
There
just
you
go.
Yeah.
I'll hand feed these to you.
Thank you. I've checked out.
Line, Nicole.
He's
line.
thinking about his next Star Wars podcast when he's
I've
wrong.
already quit this show.
From a certain point below. Yeah. This is next to Star Wars podcast.
If you listen back earlier in our podcast season, he actually has little plant seeds of how he's going to quit. We just didn't know it till now.
Yep.
This is from Ty. Should they do a retcon line that Ahsoka's Leku, I have to say this wrong. Leku were severed in battle and they healed shorter? Because everybody was fucking up in arms about the length of those things. And to me, it's like, just let it go. I
mean, they still had good girth.
Yeah, exactly. Really good girth.
Yeah.
But I think it's a minute detail. But that being said, Star Wars notoriously does like to retcon things.
Sure.
So I wouldn't be surprised if somehow they work that into somewhere, but I think it's pretty unnecessary.
We'll find out she was tortured in years past.
It could be. She was leaning in on the campfire and they just singed up.
Maybe it's how they sterilize them, right? Maybe that's like they cut them short like a bull's horn.
Something like castration.
Yeah.
Do you expect the Empire/First Order to ever stop building long corridors with perfectly spaced interior ridges ideal for taking cover from blaster fire?
I have to tell you that when I read that, Ty is the perfect person to recognize something like that.
And he's going to be your perfect replacement on the show when you're on.
That's true. Ty, we're looking for a replacement. So if you,
no, that I read that and I just died laughing.
Yes.
Like I was like, oh my God, that's so You're right.
I figure like that's on purpose for the stormtroopers to have cover. It just never works for them.
Who knew that that the rebellion would use it against them?
Yeah.
They started doing it in episode 4, and they haven't stopped since.
Nope.
Well, I thought about it in the Bo-Katan episode when they're storming forward and they're able to peel off on the sides and, get some cover. But the funny thing is the stormtroopers never use the cover. They just stay right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Yeah.
The rebellion, or the Rebel Alliance is doing it too, because when they're on the prisoner transport, right? When they're doing the episode where they're trying to spring the prisoners, they also use the cover of the corridors.
What one are you talking about?
When they, the episode last season where they break onto the prison ship.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And that's a rebel cruiser, rebel prison transport.
Correct.
And they use that. Remember, they're all hiding behind the ridges.
Yes.
So it's
and
common
Mando circles
design.
around.
It's a common design. It's a structural thing. Without that, the whole thing would collapse.
Exactly.
It's based on the hull.
Yeah.
So it keeps the
There's a
crushing forces of space out.
Load bearing.
Exactly.
It's a load bearing wall.
Yeah, they have to have corridors built like that. It's how
There you go,
spaceships
Ty.
fly. You don't know this?
Read a fucking engineering book,
It's
Ty.
in every book.
Jeez, oh Pete.
Maybe you're not going to be the new host. Email number 4. This is from, oh my God, this is a long one, so I have to go down. This is from James Weaver, a.k.a.
That's what she said.
Weaver.
Weaves.
Sorry. Hey guys, like what you're doing with the podcast and hope you keep it up. We do. We try to keep it up. I got a lot of downtime stuck at work and in the car, so popping
I wonder
on
what
this
he does.
podcast makes me feel like I got a whole crew with me just chilling, talking Star Wars. So yes, I was going to ask you guys, you work with this guy, right?
We do.
Should we as a country be worried that our nuclear facilities are being guarded by guys whose heads are down watching The Mandalorian while like nefarious characters are walking by and breaking into the facility?
Weaver goes on to say one of your earlier episodes.
Just checking.
Okay.
One of your earlier episodes, you were talking about what kind of books that are awesome to get into in the Star Wars verse, and my favorite would have to be the Darth Bane trilogy.
I hear it's really good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I know it's not in your current era of Star Wars, based in the Sith era / Old Republic, but it's really awesome. Highly suggest checking it out. Thank you, because we are also always looking for new books to read, and I had forgotten about the whole Darth Bane thing. He says, thank you guys for the content. I'm going to catch up. So what do you say? Oh, I'm doing some catch up, but hopefully we'll be caught up by the season finale. May the force be with you always.
Here's what I think, Weaver. With all your downtime, you get the first book and start recording yourself reading it and send it to us. And it's it's a tit for tat. We'll do a show for you. You do a show for us.
Okay.
But you got, but you got to do it in the voice of Jar Jar Binks.
Weaver, I hope you win the Dark Saber.
2 more.
Oh, Ty, I hope you win the Dark Saber.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I forgot. I missed one. Sorry, Ty.
Email number 5. Listening to the show on season 2, episode 5 of the. Oh, sorry. This is from Cheeto, aka Luther. This is actually 2 emails he sent combined into one. He says, listening to the show on season 2, episode 5 of The Mandalorian, and Mace Windu gets mentioned as maybe not being dead and showing up. Well, if we remember, a young Boba Fett watched Mace behead Jango, and we just saw Boba. Could be nothing, probably is nothing, but could be an epic battle if those two cross paths.
Didn't we do some speculation about just that with with the fact that we know that Boba Fett kind of has this hatred toward Jedi, right? And
Yes.
because he saw his dad's head, decapitated. So yeah, if we see Mace come back into this, there's a whole that'd be a good little. Oh, so he's alive? That's what we'll see in season 2 of the Boba Fett show. Moving forward, he's hunting that Jedi.
Well, because if Mace shows up just for fun in like the season finale of this season of The Mandalorian to help them, like, hey, I'm going to help you get that baby back because I want that baby back. And he shows up.
It's a Chili's advertisement.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's a new sponsor. All of a sudden, in the midst of the fight, Boba turns and is like, "Whoa, flashback! You killed my father." And all of a sudden, they have like a square off.
Maybe he sees Mace decapitate Moff Gideon with that same swift motion, and all of a sudden, he just he just throws up in his helmet.
I can't.
Good.
I was gonna say I can't get past the baby back thing. There's gotta be like
Still in the fridge.
It's gotta be like Baby Yoda just eating baby back ribs, and it's like Mando's just walking around. I need to get my baby back. Like, fucking walking. Someone's missing out on our ideas here.
I know. I'm telling you, we're top tier marketers.
Chili's, if you want to reach out to the show, factbubpod@gmail.com. Maybe you guys maybe you guys think of this. I don't know. I'm still listening to the episode. Also, that iTunes review I did wasn't just for entries in the Dark Saber contest. It was legit.
All right.
This podcast literally makes me want to watch the show just so I can listen and get the insight and trivia. Good job, guys. And the Star Wars Geek appreciates all you do, Cheeto. Thanks, Cheeto. Thanks, Luther.
Luther, we're on to you. Matt's on to you. He took both your emails, combined them into one, so you only get one entry. Nice try, though.
Yeah. Good call. But
I'll give him the double. It's fine. I just want to combine for our listeners.
with that said, I hope that he wins the Dark Saber.
Last one. This is hot off the press. Since I do enjoy getting Maul bagged, I keep forgetting to say that. You got Maul bagged. Everybody, you got Maul bagged.
We need a drop for that.
Yes, this is from Josh Tufts. Can we discuss just for a moment the possibility that our dearly beloved Mando is possibly ranked just outside the top 25 of the Mandalorian coaches poll for fighting skills? Every other Mandalorian seems to kick serious ass, and he's meh. This is a fair point, because like the Night Owls are kicking much ass. Boba just showed off all those skills. Is Mando even really a top rated Mando fighter?
Mando seems to, his go-to is to just Beskar absorb as much blaster fire as he can and just take it. Like, like throw a bunch of explosives. He's kind of a tank, if you would say.
Right, yeah. I look at it as like the when they rebooted James Bond with Daniel Craig. Like, he gets his ass kicked in Casino Royale, gets a little bit better in the next one, and then by, what is it, Skyfall or whatever, he's just fucking changing his cufflinks or tightening them when he's jumping off a train. Shit's blowing up behind him. Like, Mando's building up to being that pimp bounty hunter. He just ain't there yet. We got to watch him grow into his full potential, and I'm there for it. Or if he doesn't, I'll quit the show.
Oh no, he's a rising star in the Mando ranks. He's not like, I
go.
agree. He's not quite there yet. He doesn't have quite the level of experience, certainly of a Boba Fett.
He did get domed by that big fat Mando in the first episode when he brought the Beskar back.
Yep.
Remember? He got domed.
He got
He was the submissive in that.
He sure was.
Well, they both had the knife, and one of them had the better angle.
You didn't say that in the bedroom.
Wow. That's it for the Maul bag. Thanks everybody for sending those in. Please keep sending them in.
Do you got something you'd like to say to Josh?
I hope you win the Dark Saber.
Speaking of the Dark Saber, we're doing a giveaway. And all you have to do to earn entries is either retweet our show tweets.
All you have to do, write this down, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Luther, I know you're taking notes. Go ahead.
If you retweet and add a little flavor of your own in there and kind of promote the show, you get 2 entries for that. Maul's bag emails get you 2 entries. So Luther, you'll get 4.
Wow.
By the way, just to cut somebody off from doing this in the future, don't send us 8 emails in a row with one question so that you can get 16 entries. I'm going to look through that.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and delete my emails I just sent to the show.
You are ineligible.
I've created a fake account and I've been sending emails. I'm Luther.
I was just going to say.
Every week. Great show, especially that Cole guy. He's hilarious.
I'm going to send it to like 2 houses down to Sandy, to my neighbor Sandy. Here's my address, Dave. Well, really? You live on Ip6 as well, huh? That's interesting.
If you do a review of the show, you get 5 entries, which we have been getting quite a lot of reviews lately. Really, really appreciate that. And I am able to kind of see most of the Podcatcher reviews that come through, but still a good idea to email the show to let us know when you do a review, just so I'm tracking it on our handy spreadsheet.
Especially those of you who are not iPhone users. If you're using some sort of podcast app like Castbox or something like that, it's not catching all of them, Matt was saying. So, yeah. And
we even discussed, even if you're using iTunes, if you're from another country, go ahead and just screen capture your review, send it in an email.
Yep.
Should a DM anything so we know that they're coming. Did I repeat something? You're looking at me like I just Ben Solo'd you.
No, I was thinking about trying to repeat something and doing a Courtney, but I couldn't come up with anything fast enough. The gear's returning, though. Glad we're on the same page.
We've joked about how we're blowing our wad with our first big giveaway, but there might be a new giveaway. Do you want to explain that?
We were in the chat room discussing our theories and speculations today, and Dave, who is going to be giving away the lightsaber, and he is from what is it? Diamond Custom Sabers.
I can look it up. Correct? It's on Instagram.
Yes.
But you can find Dave Meyer on Instagram if you want to reach out to him, if you want to order your own. I mean, if you're like impulsive, like I can't wait to win one, and you want to buy one now, go see Dave. His website's not up yet, but he said he is taking orders via his DM on Twitter or Instagram.
Yeah, his Instagram is at Dave Meyer, Maier.
Correct.
Not Mayer, Meyer.
Yes, Meyer.
Yes.
So the discussion was that he wants to give away, if Mace Windu shows up either in person or at least voice, correct?
Yep, this season.
This season, he will give a purple lightsaber away, and we will give that away. Rules are we'll work on the rules and everything. We'll give you the details on that because we're still working on the giveaway for the Dark Saber. But when we start covering the Gallery season 2 episodes on Disney for the the behind the scenes, the making of, we'll discuss the giveaway for this. But if Mace doesn't show up, Dave wants to continue to promote his lightsabers, and we're happy to give one away to our awesome listeners. And Dave will be with us for our season finale. We're going to let him pick the person. Is that correct?
He's going to pick the number off the spreadsheet. Yep, exactly.
Yep. So he wants to give a lightsaber away. It could be anything. It could be just the hilt of one, maybe a lightsaber with no sound. He's still deciding what he's going to do, but there will be something given away for that portion of season 2 of the Gallery. So you're either going to win Mace Windu's lightsaber or a surprise saber. It's a grab bag.
Oh, okay, grab bag.
Yeah.
I feel like the giveaway, in keeping with tradition of Dave's shirtless lightsaber move,
okay.
maybe he should put the number that he's going to pick in between his shoulder blades and then do a little strip tease, drop the pink robe, and then twirl the saber over his head to give us the number. Or maybe it's all dark, he's in an all dark room and he lights up the saber.
Oh, that's not right
and
there.
the saber shows us the number on his belly.
On his belly.
Or
wow.
Okay.
Or on his chest.
Yeah.
Your choice, Jeff.
I
Dave,
think
chest,
he needs
head or gut?
tomorrow, so it's healed by the time he does the episode. He needs to get the number tattooed.
In Star Wars numbers, like in like the
font.
The font.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or a brand. A brand also works if you want to.
Right, yeah. Just like go in the kitchen and have your dad, poke you
heat
with a
up
hot
a coat
knife.
hanger into the shape of a rhino.
But it's got to be in Roman numerals. So I want it the number in Roman numerals.
There you go.
71. X.
That's a lot. Right
X.
Yeah. So we're going to stick to this. You have to either be branded or tattooed by the finale episode.
Good luck, Dave.
Yeah. Also, thank you for all the Star Wars.
And these are the rules. We didn't write them.
Yeah.
Thanks for participating.
I mean, they've been decreed from the scene rock on Lothal will work, but Tython. Okay, I think that's it. I think we've read our Maul bags. You've been Maul bagged. I hope you all win the Dark Saber. We're giving another saber away, so stick around after the season of this for the season of the Gallery, and then I guess
we'll do some reviews on in the interim after the show's over. We'll do some reviews on Rebels, probably the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
correct.
of those. Mm-hmm.
Some of the other animated stuff that we can get our greedy little fingers on, and that's what's coming up, I guess.
So I just want to say thank you to all of you who are listening, writing in, taking your time to be part of the show. Until next time,
never tell us the odds.
An object cannot make you good or evil.
we have spoken.